Hello there. Good evening. Good Tuesday to you all there. And today I'm here back with you with another talk about a topic that just came to my mind this week while talking to a friend. And the topic today is about impact. Let's talk about impact. Why is that important? Well, we're seeing all those posts that we do in me included and everybody, all this call to action to create an impact, the impact you want to create in the world. What is the impact you want to create in your community, in your environment, so on and so forth. And in a conversation with a friend, we realize that many women specifically have a kind of setback towards that expression, as they feel they are not, who are they to create an impact? It sounds just too big. What is about this impact that everybody is telling us that we should create? But the point here that I want to make with you today, and that I want you to take with you, is that we are, whether we like it or not, creating impact all the time, whether we are aware of it or not. So, on that note, we better be aware of it and say and do something about it. But what is this thing of an impact? As a human beings, we are, our presence, the way when we come into a room, we are immediately create an impact because people are observing us and they are first trying to figure out who is this person, and we carry with us an energy. Each of us have different types of energy. I am a high level energy person, so my way of expressing, my way of gesturing, the speed of my talk, I always have to be aware to reduce it, and the way I move shows my energy. And this creates an impact. And this, at the energy level, move things around. So if you're a person of high energy, of course you will bring high energy to that room. So this is a super important topic. And let's put this way, skill or feature that we should be able to develop or master in order to create the right impact. Most people have the very best intentions. We all have good intentions, but not necessarily the intentions we have, the good intentions we have, generate the impact we want to create. And why is that? I do believe from my experience is that we are not really aware of how we are coming across. And even if we have good intention, we are not aware of the environment where we are stepping in. We are not aware of the language of communicating with the people in that environment. So they might interpret what we are saying in a different manner, especially in this global world market that we all live in. And especially now, where we are in this frame where we are communicating globally, we like it or not. So, ladies out there, if you think you don't care about creating impact, so you better start caring, because you are creating impact, even if you like it, are aware of it or not. Okay, so what is, you might be asking, so then what should I do? The first thing is, as the good Stephen Covey in his book, The 7 Habits. I quote this book a lot because I think this book has solid foundations for several areas of self-development. And he says, start with the end in mind. So therefore, you have to set your intention. Let's say you have to give a presentation or you have to lead a meeting. you have to set an intention. What is the final object that you want to achieve after that presentation or that meeting? What is your intention? So that is your goal. That is starting with the end in mind. So your preparation will be not trying, your preparation will be, I rephrase that, would be putting together all the elements you need to reach that goal. But you have first to ask yourself, what do I already have to create that impact? What are my resources? What are my skills? What do I already have to reach my goal? Then, as you assess yourself, then you will decide what I still need to achieve my goal. And then, who is going to help me? That is my most favorite one, because we, especially ladies, we tend to pull ourselves back because we are not so into asking for questions, for support, or something like that. So for you to be able to create the right impact, you have to know where you're going and you have to set your intention. When you set an intention, let's put it as an example here. You're going to a meeting. You not necessarily leading a meeting, but you're present in that meeting and you want to have an impact in that meeting. Okay, so I assume that you already know the agenda of the meeting. You already know what this is the topic of conversation, people who are in that table, their personalities, their behavior, their way of communicating, who, is there in a hierarchy, who is the decision maker, all this kind of information that you need to carry with you. So you set your intention. In this meeting, I want to achieve that, or I want to be able to put at the table my idea, my project, and my way of doing so would be X, Y, Z. And I will ask my colleague to back me up on something. So this is how you're planning of setting and preparing to reach the impact you want to create. So you set your intention. And when you are in your meeting, you have to be mindful. You have to be mindful, what is this? You have to be aware if all the information that you that you gather, sorry for that you gather before is really valid, is relevant. We assume that most of it will be, but sometimes, this is why it's so important to be mindful. Sometimes you need to change, tweak a little bit your way of positioning some case, of positioning or rephrasing something that you have prepared before. And this happens also when you're giving a training or when you're giving a talk, that you might perceive something that is happening around the room that you are, and then in that moment in time, because you're mindful, because you're observant, and because you are prepared, you're able to adapt in that very moment to be able to make sure that you still reach the impact you want to create. The next thing is, you have, once you present, is your time to assess if you have achieved the impact that you have planned before. Here is, it looks maybe some kind of obvious, but I tend to say is that common sense is not that common. This is why, for me, everything I do, I always go back to the basics. The foundation this is the architect path in my life. As you say, this is why I say I'm a communication architect, because we always have to assess where we are standing. And the important thing is that when I see women say, "Oh, I don't really care. I'm just okay doing my thing, but I'm not really a attentive or caring if I am creating impact. That's not really the point. I'm not saying that every every presentation, every meeting you attend, you are there to make a point, to create an impact, make a point. No. What I'm saying here is that we are creating impact all the time with what we say, the way we behave, the way um, we move our body, our gestures. So the important thing here is that to make sure that we are showing ourselves up to the world in a way that is aligned with our values and our intentions. Because if we are not aware of that, we might be misinterpreted, or we might be sending signals that were not exactly what we were looking for. There's one thing that I find very interesting is when you're watching panel of discussions, especially politicians, German politicians especially, how control how much control they have on their facial expression, their poker face, how they manage to maintain a kind of serene even face without showing any emotions, just listening. And this ability to be able to keep like this face that is a serene face, like no matter how much you're trying to make me crazy, I am here and I'm okay. I'm just listening. This shows a lot of power, a lot of mindfulness, a lot of control, and a lot of ground. That really shows that you know where you're standing, you know what you want to talk about, and you don't need to rush. You know the time for you to say will come, and you will say what you have to say in the right pace and order to reach your desired goal. Ladies and gentlemen, it requires practice, practice, and practice. But I promise you that is the one of the most well spent time that you can give to yourself when you're able to use to develop this mindfulness of your own presence in any room that you step in all the time. It might sound a little bit overwhelming that what is this? I'm aware of myself all the time. Seems also a little bit egocentric, but that's not my point. My point is that once, as I go to the very beginning here, set your intention. Set your intention in the morning when you go to work. And when you come here to this environment, this is another important aspect. It's not because we are here, I am in the comfort of my home, of my office here. So I make my effort here to look a little bit, dressed up for you. But this is also important. Set your intention. How do you want to present yourself in this space? Many people, it's not, let's put it this way. When you have a live event, you, even because there's a physical space, a physical distance to walk to your live event, you in a way start preparing yourself mentally and physically as you go to reach the local of your venue for the meeting or training, etc. Here, working from home, what tends to happen, and we see when we have meetings, that people kind of like they are just hanging around here in front of the computer, or they're doing something, they just turn on the screen as nothing. That's not the way. You are creating an impact. Because at the moment you show your face there on the screen and people see you, they will observe and they will perceive you, and they will interpret, they will give their own interpretation of who you are and what type of person you are. So this is why it's so important that you are aware that you are creating impact all the time, even if you think that's not so important. It is important. So set your intention, be mindful, be mindful in your space, be mindful of your presence, the importance of your presence in that space, in that context, in that container, which is this room here, this virtual environment, and assess. Even if you are not the leader of a meeting or you're not the leader of a workshop, but you're a participant, you're there, you're interacting, assess what is the impact you created in that moment, in that content, in that event, in that meeting. It's very important because then you know how you are perceived by others, how much that is aligned to what you want or not, and if it's not, what should you do to improve that? So that's my big message for you today here. It's about you to create an impact in the world. And that's when we say you have a voice, especially me in my call to actions for many of my programs and my talks is you have a voice, your voice matter, you have a voice which can create an impact in the world. And some lady might think like me, yes, you, your voice, your presence, your being, your beauty, and no, is creating an impact in the world already. So the point here now is for you to define if that impact that you are creating is aligned with what you want to share with the world. And that's my message for you today. And as a reminder, the call to action here today is always align your intention with impact you want to create, and that will lead to your success. So, and last note here, I will be using this space as well on Thursdays for inviting guests. So you have me on Tuesdays bringing general topics, and write down and send me messages, whatever you want me to talk about in short and briefly, 10-15 minutes. But then on Thursdays, I want to have a guest where we are going to talk about topics in communication, leadership, presentation, public speaking. But also I will ask them the big question, which is what they have done as a brave and bold actions in order to become brilliant. So this is all for me today. Thank you for watching this video. If you're watching live, and because here we are on Facebook, we are on LinkedIn, and we are on YouTube at the same time, leave your comments below. I would love to hear from you, and see you next week. Bye for now.